13 of the Basement Boys, here for another week with my brothers. As you guys could see, it's a different setup.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted to show people we're a little beautiful. You know, wanted to.
This is nice.
This is it, man. I like.
We weren't on a camera or anything like that. Nothing crazy like that.
Nothing happened.
You know, we are a little worried one of these guys might slam and the whole fucking set goes.
Let's test it from the very beginning. The helmets are done.
We're good. I mean, just like, you know, they're shifting. You know what I mean?
That's enough. That's enough.
All right. Can you stop? We're hoping we don't get a lot of banging on the table this episode. We have a lot of good shit coming this episode. I'm really excited. Just really excited. We have some good stuff coming. Yeah. We're gonna jump right into it though. Week 3, a ton of things happened. Usually, I'll come and ask you guys for some takeaways. You guys don't get to do that this week.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the boss. All right.
Oh, like that?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
What I did is I was just taking a look at a few different things that happened this week, and then I'm just gonna start throwing out some shit. I just want us to talk about it. You guys cool with that?
Yeah.
All right. We have to freaking talk about Josh Allen, bro. Like, we just have to. Like, are the Bills for real?
The Bills are for real, my boy. The Bills are for real. I was so wrong about that team.
This is your second straight week saying it.
Bro, yeah, man. Normally when you lose a wide receiver 1, you're supposed to, shift. Like, not knowing what to do with the new pieces, if there is any new pieces. Bro, Josh Allen, that boy's for real, bro. That boy is for real. I can see them 1,000% being a real threat in the AFC. A real threat to the Chiefs, to the Ravens. None of that sad shit like what happened a few years ago in Arrowhead. They're for real. Josh Allen is that guy.
Hey, Josh Allen, MVP so far?
I don't think it's even a question
3 weeks
at this point.
Like,
I don't know who you could put over him at this point.
Who are you going to put? Sam Darnold? Like, no.
I mean, Sam
boy,
Darnold.
balling
He's
now.
balling. He'd get some votes right now.
Balling now.
Bro, he's the real deal, man.
Yeah.
It's only 3 weeks. Beating up on some
But this
teams,
is, I mean, you could say it's only 3 weeks, and you're right, but this is kind of a trend ever since they've kind of flipped their philosophy. I don't think people realize like they got rid of Ken Dorsey, their offensive coordinator, in the middle of last year. They put in Joe Brady, run offense, Stephon Diggs. You go cry somewhere else. Let's run the ball. I mean, don't forget, they ended the year really good last year.
Yeah.
Through 3 weeks, this is the best football that the Bills and Josh Allen has ever played.
Yeah.
Through 3 weeks.
They look dominant.
There has been, like, knock on wood, no mistakes. Josh Allen has yet to make a mistake in those 3 games.
He hasn't thrown a pick yet, right? Which is wild.
He has not thrown a pick at all.
I was thinking about Josh, and I don't blame him for some of his picks sometimes. You want to know why? And I'm not giving him an excuse. If I was Josh Allen, right, and I had his arm, Josh sees a crease, and he thinks he could fit it in there. And that used to get him in trouble so much. I watched something that he did against the Jags that proved to me, and still a lot of time left, that I think he's finally learned to live another down. Like there is a point against the Jags, and they weren't up a ton yet. It was in the red zone, and he pump faked like twice.
I seen it, yeah.
And the commentators were like, he had somebody open, but it would have been really, really tough, right? And sometimes you have to live another down.
Oh, yeah.
Like just because you maybe could get the ball there, maybe, doesn't mean you always have to try to sling it in there because, God damn it, he has the fucking arm to do it. And I think he's learning, all right, cool, let me play within this system. Let me not make these mistakes. Let me not be the reason that my team loses these games sometimes. Because sometimes just you could be a big reason why you win, and sometimes you could be a big reason why you lose. Right?
1,000%.
And right now, he's a big reason why they're winning, and he hasn't been a big reason. No mistakes, bro. Like mistake-free football, that's crazy. I could definitely see this team contend with the Chiefs. I can definitely see it. If he plays like that, I could definitely see it, bro.
I got to see him with playing against a really, really good team.
Well, you got one coming up.
I know.
We got one coming up.
I know. We're watching that game live. Hakeem, there were 6 drives where it all ended up in scores.
Nuts.
5 or 6 drives.
Nuts.
23 of 30, 297 yards, and 4 fucking touchdowns for Josh Allen. And they set him out the fourth quarter.
250 and 3 touchdowns game in the first half.
Bro, I was playing somebody in our fantasy league.
I know.
I was up 50. He had 30 points at halftime.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I thought I lost.
Bro.
Lights out.
He was.
How long do you think that lasts?
What?
The whole him not forcing things.
I mean,
like if we're in week 9 now or week 10 and like it's a big game and they're down a touchdown, do you think he's still gonna?
I mean,
do you think
guy,
he'll ever revert to what he was?
I don't know. Sure, maybe, but I mean, if you think about it, I mean, the guy's been going through a long time of playing like mistake-free football, even like towards the end of last year too. So, if your quarterback isn't throwing interceptions, that sometimes is a bad thing too. And let me tell you why. That means you're not ever pushing the ball down the field. You're like just dinking and dunking. There's going to be a time, and you know when they play the Ravens and they play the Chiefs and they play some of these good teams in the NFC, it's going to require him to do a lot more, right? Like some of the competition they played so far isn't up to par as far as some of these like bigger and good teams, right? But they destroyed them, so we got to give them credit. Like they're not squeaking by these guys; they're absolutely destroying them. I'm sure he'll start making mistakes, but I don't think I'll ever see, just in the system that they're playing and the way that they're operating. They're a run first office at this point now, right?
Yeah.
I don't see him ever going back to that, like leading the league in freaking picks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree.
I feel like he's going to adjust more. He has more to adjust with now, with not Diggs being over there. I guarantee if there was a stat of all his picks, 75% of them were to Diggs. Has to be.
Yeah, I mean,
If you put a stat, honestly.
Maybe. But like when I see him, eye test wise, when I see him play, some of the throws he makes were stupid. Like especially last year.
And that's just sometimes
some of them were forced. It had nothing to do with Stephon Diggs or him asking for the ball. Some of them were just dumb plays.
He's probably forcing him to Stephon Diggs.
Maybe mentally it's in his head. Maybe it was, but that's not how it looked. It looked bad.
But bro, if you don't trust the game plan and you feel like you have to score every single time, like that's what happens. You make these mistakes
1,000%.
because you're like, I got to do it on this drive or we're gonna lose,
1,000%.
right? All right, let's shift. We talked about the Bills and them being who they are. We're gonna flip. Bills are 3-0. Let's talk about the freaking Bengals. Freaking shocker. They went 0-3. Do you guys see any light at the end of the tunnel for the Bengals?
First of all, we gotta give credit to Jaden Daniels for how he played. But as far as the Bengals are concerned, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Not that there is one. They haven't played a single divisional game yet either. It's that schedule coming up is it's rough. It wasn't like this should have been at worst 2-1 if you set yourself up for success in that division. You kind of needed to start 2-1, especially with the Steelers being 3-0, especially with the Ravens being 1-2. That was supposed to be your biggest competition in that division. So it was a perfect opportunity to start 2-1 and take care of that division quickly, but I just don't see, it's going to require 11 games in that division to win it. So I just don't see how they're going to do that moving forward.
I couldn't disagree.
Just based on the schedule, I can't see it.
I mean, listen, you are what your record says you are, and when you're 0-3 and you're losing to lesser teams, that just means you're not a good team at this point.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. The Patriots suck, and they lost to the Patriots. Cool, they lost to the Chiefs. We could say that was, it was a tough game. And then you go to lose to the Redskins, and who knows how good the Redskins are, but they're a young team. Nobody really has, playoff aspirations. The Bengals should be beating these teams. But this is a trend now, bro. You start off slow every single year, you put yourself in a hole, and then you try to become, this super team at the end of the year and go on a run. It's just hard. You can't do that every single 100%. Year. And, when I was watching the Redskins game, the Commanders game. I can't stop saying that name, bro. When I was watching the game, I was just thinking, they can't stop nobody. That defense blows.
Yeah.
Did you see the stat in that game? This was the first game since 1940 where there hasn't been a turnover in that game or a punt in that case.
Think about that.
That's crazy.
wild. No, they cannot. I don't think they can recover.
The scary part about that game was that Joe Burrow had himself a
Can't
night.
blame Joe Shiesty at all.
He had himself a night, so it's I don't know. And then Jamar Chase had himself a freaking night.
Well, listen.
I don't know where the like would come
all
from.
off season when you have two of your like top 5 best players talking about money, not being in training camp, that matters, bro. It just does. Jamar Chase talked more about trying to beat Jettas and money than talking about trying to beat him on the field.
As he should have.
T. Higgins is sitting there holding out.
But they should do that.
They should, but it hurts. It
Yeah,
hurts.
that's on the team though. That's not my fault.
Well,
That's the team's fault.
Well, Jamar.
bit of both.
But listen, here's the thing.
It plays a
Jamar
factor
is.
for
So if I go out week 1 and I tear my ACL, what happens now?
Oh no, that's different than getting injured when you can play.
But that happens. But that's why they hold out.
It definitely.
Because if they get on the field in week 1 and week 2 and they get hurt, what happens?
T. Higgins.
Dak got lucky and they ended up giving him the bag. But if he wasn't, a lifelong Cowboy, what would have happened to Dak? Do we know?
T. Higgins is different because T. Higgins is next year. He's a free
Right.
agent. They have franchised him. Jamar is a couple years away, so like everybody was kind of shook by him. It was like you're coming kind of early, but he wants his bag. But again, it hurts whether it's right or wrong, and they should go get their bags. I mean, it hurts. I mean, we see it with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
CD and Dak legit arguing. Well, guess who wasn't in camp together this year? CD wasn't there because Dallas waited too long to give him the bag. So yeah, and the Bengals are cooked.
They're asking a
I
bag.
don't understand why teams do that. I'll never understand because they always end up giving it to him anyways.
Well, Bengals
just
is
give
different.
it. No, I understand that, bro. But there's a report like they charge the players at the vending machines for water bottles.
Oh, yeah.
in the locker, bro, in the locker room and in the arena. The players.
Well, that's the cheapest organization in sports.
But beyond that, like these teams, like Jamar, more than likely, is still gonna end up getting his bag from him.
Jamar was going to get it.
You know what I mean?
Jamar
Like,
has his bag.
okay, so if you know that, just cut to the chase. with it.
Higgins won't be though.
But just cut to the chase with it is what I'm saying. Like, just do it. Just take care of it. Get it done. Get him in training camp. Just get him in.
It's like paying a bill. They're trying to avoid that bill.
I know,
to
but
the
what
last
happens when you get
possible second.
what happens when you do that? You risk late fees. You risk
1,000%.
late penalties. you risk
1,000%.
late
I-
payments. Like, I don't know, bro.
It's also trying to set a precedence, though. And let me explain to you why. Not everybody on the team is Jamar Chase. But if Jamar Chase comes and asks for his money a couple years earlier than he should, then the really good corner of the team starts coming to ask for his money a lot earlier than he should. Then the great D end asks for his money a lot earlier. So like that's what I think. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fucking GM, but I think that's what it goes into it. Dallas is just a whole different situation. CD told them how much they wanted. They negotiated all summer, and then he gave them the same amount of money anyways. That's just Jerry Jones.
That's
being-
just dumb, though.
That's just Jerry Jones being Jerry Jones and want to be into the news.
But that's just
Also,
dumb, though.
It's
But
dumb.
it's not just Jerry Jones. It's a lot. It's that's happened with a couple of guys in the league this year. I think it sets the precedence the wrong way. I think it's like, you're not gonna pay me. Cool, I'm gonna sit. Because everybody who sits ends up usually getting their bag.
True.
So it's like, all right, I can sit. I know I'm not gonna get hurt sitting, and I'm still gonna get my bag because everybody else is. Yeah, I'm gonna sit.
Yeah. No, I mean it's.
Just
They need to
pay
get it
these guys,
together.
bro.
They need to get it together. I doubt
bro. Like
it
if
will
it's a
happen.
it's a bona fide star on your team in the league, you should pay him, bro.
You
You should pay
100%,
him.
bro.
You
But
should give him his
you're
bag,
talking
bro.
about the Bengals, Hadi, who are the cheapest
No, I understand.
organization.
I understand
in
that. But what
sports.
about the Cowboys, who are worth more than any other franchise in
That's
the world?
different.
No, that's so much different.
As
Hey,
the-
we already know they're gonna get their bag, Hadi, but the Bengals have a habit of doing that, though. They're not. They're like
What about the Chiefs with Chris Jones?
with Chris. They end up paying him. They're like.
But that's what I'm saying, though. It's like, why? Why are you hold out? Just pay him the bag.
I think it's just like a matter of like pride or who's gonna
It's
talk
just-
Well,
first.
sometimes
This is
you
dumb
see it. Sometimes it starts at a number. Like just sometimes it does start off at the player will ask for $30 million in the beginning of negotiations, and sometimes the team can have them cut off a couple dollars here and there. Like think about how it worked out for Brandon Ayuk, right? He ended up having to settle for the offer that the Niners were giving him compared to what he wanted. So like sometimes just for cap reasons wise, they do it. It drives me kind of crazy, right? For a team like the Cowboys who knew they were going to pay him the amount they were going to pay him, but it's just different with them. They like to be in the news. With Chris Jones, he just leveraged them. The Chiefs said, listen, we're not going to pay more than this amount. And then what happened? We seen the Lions beat the Chiefs in Game 1 last year, and guess who got that contract that week right
away.
after, right? It's all about leverage. But for the Bengals, 0-3, I think the odds of a team making the playoffs after 0-3 is like
Very, very low.
almost zero.
I think it was
Very,
it like
very low.
20%.
It's very, very low.
Yeah,
very low.
and I don't see
Closer
them.
to 0 than 100.
Yeah, that might have cost the coach his job this year, especially with all the slow starts.
Yeah.
Who knows? All right, A-Rod. That boy was slinging it all over the field,
He was.
and he looked good. How are we feeling about the Jets? Are we on the bandwagon? Are we off the bandwagon? Are you on the bandwagon with the Jets?
I mean, I had them making. I was really, really high on the Jets in the preseason in camp before the even season.
You haven't gone to the
started.
AFC Championship, my boy.
That was a bold prediction, Mo. That was like after seeing how the Bills are playing, bro. There's no way they're winning that division. No possible way. A-Rod did look like that Green Bay A-Rod. They beat the Patriots.
Yeah, he did.
I never
He,
thought in a
like-
world of life where we'd be like, yeah, they beat the Patriots.
He beat the
for
Patriots.
How long have they
Rookie coach, short week. That team is the worst team in football. Hakeem.
Oh my God.
The Patriots are the worst. When oh my God, how are we gonna say that to the
The
Patriots?
times
Yeah.
have changed.
Oh my God, that's the worst team in football. Like you beat up on a really, really bad team. Congrats. But you had a game. You looked like that 2011 MVP A-Rod. If he plays a better team, like he got blown up by the Niners, a full Niners squad with all the Avengers.
Without CMC though.
I mean, Jordan Mason went out for 200 yards, man. But still, you know what I'm talking about. If they beat a better team, a really good team in fashion, the way A-Rod's supposed to play, then yeah, they can. I can see them being the real deal, and I will jump on that bandwagon. At the end of the day, it's A-Rod, bro.
Yeah, you got to get
It's A-Rod.
Hadi?
I'm not on the bandwagon just yet. And the reason why I say that is I know one thing they're going to be good at. They're going to be good defensively. That much I know.
Yes.
I question their offense, so I have a lot of question marks on their offense. And you never pray for this to happen, and you never hope for this to happen. They're a Breece Hall ankle sprain away from going on a 2-3 game losing streak. Like that engine goes as Breece Hall goes. He's their top receiver. He's their top runner. He blocks. They ask that guy to do everything offensively, and I don't know how well that's gonna bode for a 17-game season and then through the playoffs. It's tough, and I don't know if Alan Lazard being your wide receiver 2 is gonna.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the AFC, like once you get to the top end of the teams in the AFC, those are some dogs, bro. Like you're gonna need more people.
I mean, we've seen 3 versions of this team so far. We've seen a version that, they look like dog water out there against the Niners. They squeaked by the Titans, who are bad, and they beat up on the Patriots, right? And give them credit. They beat up on a team they should have beat up on, and they destroyed them. And sometimes we don't give teams credit for doing that, and we should. Like, when you beat up on a team that you should beat up on, props to you, right? I don't know. I was never on the Jets bandwagon to begin with, and I'm not going to jump onto it. I might have been a little bit wrong on A-Rod and how he would look this year. I didn't think he would look as fluid as he does, because again, he's 40, coming off the Achilles tear. I got to give him some credit. He looks good. He'll give him a chance, but I assume when they play teams that are either equal to them or better than them, probably not going to be as hot moving forward.
They'll probably be like a 500 team against those teams.
They will. In order for them to be good, their opponents have to be bad.
Yeah.
And
You know what I'm saying?
but you always have a chance when you have a guy, even though A-Rod's 40, his mind's not 40. His brain and his experience is not 40.
Bro, he was moving outside the pocket really, really well. He looked like, you know what I'm saying?
I didn't.
But he didn't look that hot. The first 2 games, he didn't look that great. He didn't look like A-Rod the first 2 games.
In his defense,
But let's just say
It is his first game.
First home
Patriots
game
team
for
that
him.
beat the Bengals, though.
yeah. In his defense, it was his. The Niners game. Listen, the Niners game, that was his first game.
That's a
and
tough game. That's a
it's
tough one.
on the road. I don't know how many guys off a year of not playing, Achilles being 40 and going on the road against the Niners. I don't know who does look good. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
He's probably, in the middle of what we've seen so far, right? I know that's kind of a cop-out, but
That's the truth.
Yeah, I'm not on the bandwagon for the Jets, but I told you they'll be interesting this year.
They sure will.
And they will be fun.
Yes.
It was an interesting week 3. Speaking of the Jets getting dog walked by the Niners a couple weeks ago. Now the Niners are getting dog walked by people. Now the Avengers, don't look at the Avengers right now because they're a little injured, right? How are we feeling about the Niners right now?
A little injured.
Very injured.
It's just a health question at this point. If they're healthy, they're going to be really good.
That's
if they're
it.
not healthy, they're going to be bad.
That's it.
That's what,
But
with
they
the Niners.
lost
That's what it comes
60
down
to 70% of their production on their team. I am, like you said, health.
Yeah.
They're healthy. They're good. They're not healthy. They're not good. But one thing though, Brock Purdy looked good that game, even in the loss. He looked good. He didn't look like he was missing pieces.
Yeah.
They lost by 3.
Yeah, he carried a good,
You
nice
know what I'm
little
saying?
load.
22 of
I
30,
don't know how long that'll go.
292
for,
yards, 3 touchdowns, 41 rushing yards.
He had 41
Listen,
rushing.
Yeah.
let's be fair to Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Okay. We've had arguments galore about Brock Purdy.
Yes.
A few popped water bottles, a few table smacks about Brock Purdy. I'm not going to get on him until I see a fully healthy 49ers squad. I'm not going to judge Brock based
Okay.
on losing all those pieces. I'm not
Okay.
going to do it. The one person I am looking at and saying, hey, man, like, we just paid you a bag.
Oh,
You just held out. What's going on?
Ayuk?
What's going on, Ayuk?
Yeah.
We just paid you a bag, bro, and like that's
Niners.
you're talking almost CD money. Almost Tyreek money. Like we need to see it now.
I would have let that boy walk.
We just paid you.
Niners are looking like we should have paid Juwan Jennings.
We should. We
touchdowns,
just
And
paid
my
you.
boy
Bro.
was. I mean, they did pay him. He got a new contract.
Yeah,
but
but
Yeah.
like that money.
Not Ayuk money though is the problem.
yeah. So here's my thing with the Niners. Very injured, but this is a trend now. Like these players that get injured are the same guys that get injured
Yeah, they are.
every single year.
Yes,
That
sir.
was my. That was my biggest thing with the Niners and why I said they would take a step back. Not because I think that they're just gonna like automatically become bad. I like every year these guys get older. One more year older. These guys get banged up more and more. Like everybody said, well, Christian McCaffrey he hasn't got injured with the Niners yet. It was 1 year that he didn't get
it
injured.
was legit one
And most every other year that he's been in the NFL, he's injury prone, right? Same thing with Debo. These guys play they're a running football team, right? They play a tough brand of football. Like they're going to be hurt a lot. So that worries me about that team because it's not random, it's becoming a trend. Now when they're all on the field, that's a different story. But can they be on the field for a long terms of time? And if they're not, can Brock carry the load? He did really good against the Rams, but the Rams are. If we think the Niners are decimated,
They had no business losing that game.
That
Yeah.
whatsoever.
They had no business losing that game.
that for the first time, we got to point to the Niners defense and be like,
What are you guys doing?
Yeah, I mean, Brock had 300 yards. I think he had like
3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean I can't really ask, but when you give up
27 points.
to the Rams, and who's the wide receiver?
Tutu
One.
Atwell is 1 right now, I think.
I can't name you the.
Is he?
Tutu Atwell, I
And I
think.
watch a lot of football. You
Right
guys
now.
know me. I don't know.
I mean,
So.
Kyron had. a
They
game as
rely
well,
on
bro.
Kyron a lot. Yeah,
a lot. On
I mean, but they were
Kyron.
airing that bitch out though in that game. Like, it wasn't all on the run.
That's kind of concerning. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So they'll bounce back.
Well, another thing, bro. They're up 21-0,
Yeah, they had a big lead.
and the Rams came
They had
back.
a big lead. Yeah,
Kyle Shanahan is known for letting
giving up leads.
Oh, I know
big
that, brother.
leads. Ask Tom Brady.
I know that,
Ask
brother.
Tom Brady about
yes, sir.
that.
I'm so
yes,
excited. I'm so excited for that conversation.
Yes, sir.
I'm so
All right,
excited for it.
I'm. It was a good week. Not a lot of like shocking things happened in week 3.
Yeah.
Now, what might be shocking are your power rankings for this week. So I do want us to go over our week 3 power rankings. Sway, jump in.
Pittsburgh Steelers at number 5. The Minnesota Vikings at number 4. The Detroit Lions at number 3. Kansas City Chiefs at number 2. And the Buffalo Bills at number 1 through week 3.
Sitting on top now.
Sitting on top.
I love it. Hadi, what you got, baby?
Number 5, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 4, I have the Minnesota Vikings. Number 3, I have my Detroit Lions. Number 2, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. And sitting at the top of the throne in this week's power rankings, I have Josh Allen, the Winter Soldier,
Yes, sir.
Captain America, Superman. The Buffalo Bills at number 1 in my
They
power
sit in there. I like it. All right.
Yep.
Number 5, I got the Lions. I got the Steelers, number 4. I got the Bills, number 3. I got the Vikings, number 2. And I got the Chiefs sitting on top.
Wow.
I'll tell you why I put the Vikings over the Bills, because I feel like they beat better competition so far this year. And that's why I did it, based off of that fact. I kept the Chiefs number 1 because we had them number 1 last week. All of us did, and they won again. So I didn't feel like it didn't permit me to take them off the spot. Vikings number 2, though. I never thought in a million years I would say the Vikings are the number 2, and it's an argument. Like, you can argue that they could be number 2, and I never thought I would have the freaking Steelers in my freaking top 5.
3-0, man. On top of that division.
Justin Fields.
On top of that division.
We'll see how long these last. I'm looking at my list right now, and I think by like the middle of the year, I think like 2 of these teams, maybe even 3 of these teams, might not be in there.
Which one is most likely to still be there by week 10? Do you think? If you had
The
to pick one.
Steelers and the Vikings.
Yeah, all the 3. Yeah, whoever you have in the power ranking outside of the real contenders in there, like the Chiefs and Bills, obviously. Outside of those,
I think that we could see the Steelers probably drop out.
I think the Steelers.
Yeah, and only because, again, I don't know how much I trust the quarterback position. That so far, Justin Fields playing
They're not
very
asking
well.
him to do anything.
I know.
Special.
But when they do
When
ask
they
him,
require it.
I don't know. I'm the Steelers. I was wrong about them at the beginning of the year. I thought that they were going to be really bad, and they're doing a really good job with Justin Fields. But I'm going to be the person. I'm going to be like, you got to prove it to me this year. I'm not going to jump on either bandwagon. I'm just going to sit back and react to him, if that makes any sense.
I think the Steelers will be in the top 10 through like week 9, week 10.
Top 10, sure. I don't know about 5.
I mean, listen.
You said the top 5 ranking or top 10?
Still in the top 5 power ranking by week 10. Is what I was saying.
It's tough.
Here's the problem with the Steelers, right? Their first 10 games are not very difficult, but in that division, like, I still think the Ravens will still win 11 games. Me, I believe that.
Yeah, I
That's what I'm
with
projecting
you.
to.
I can't disagree.
Right? And who knows what the Bengals look washed. We just got done talking about it. And the Browns aren't really a major threat. So it's going to come down to Steelers and Ravens in that division. If you want to win 11 games, that last half of the schedule for the Steelers is fucking brutal. Yeah. It is brutal, bro. You're playing the Bengals twice, you're playing the Ravens twice, and you're playing the Browns twice. That's just your divisions. It's a tough fucking schedule at the end, bro. So, like, to be able to win 11 games, even if they split the last 6 games, like, they need to start 7-3 to have a chance to win that division. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they have to start at.
I could see it.
I could see it too, but
I could see it.
but they don't have any room for error in that division, though, is my problem. Like, I still think the Ravens are going to win 11 games.
Oh, I have the Ravens.
You know what I mean?
They're going to win the division.
I think they're going to be
they're
fine.
gonna,
And to be honest with you, we're going to get to our Basement Boyz
Think
game of the
about
week.
this real quick, too. The Bengals are 0-3. The Browns don't look too good. I don't care how bad a team looks. If the Bengals are the worst team in that division and you got to go up against Joe Burrow, no, that's still not a cakewalk.
It's tough.
Even if the Browns are really bad and they still have a really good defense, and it's just because Deshaun Watson just can't play,
Yeah.
it's still a tough game. So, again, I'm taking the approach of prove me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they suck. I'm not going to say they're really good. It's still really early, and that's why I'm not going to like jump on the bandwagon. And some people may not like that we're talking about. Shout out Ang.
The one thing with the Steelers, though, is they're like one of the only teams in the league. Like, they can hold the Chiefs to 17 in a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, they don't. Again, they're not asking Justin Fields to go
do
out there and
much.
throw 303 touchdowns. They're asking him, don't make any mistakes.
Yeah.
Sit in the pocket a little bit. We're going to give you some room. Sit in it a little bit. Just make your tight throws here and there. And we're going to run the ball.
And
we're not going to make any mistakes.
Hold the Chiefs to 17, but can they score 17?
But that's their
That's
issue.
the
And that's the problem. That's why it's so hard to buy fully into that 3-0 team.
can't, yeah.
Mind you, by the way, I'm not buying into the Vikings 3-0 either.
Yeah.
I'm just making that clear.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest with you, like, Justin Fields really might still be better than Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's still a conversation.
The only reason
So,
that
like, if we're not liking No, like if we talked about it last year, Justin Fields definitely would have been ahead of Sam Darnold on
Yeah.
all of our lists. You know what I
Last
mean?
year, yeah, 1,000%.
But well, through the last 3 years since Justin Fields came in the league, he would have been
But in,
2-3 years.
in his defense, he hasn't played like a guy like Giannis.
But why though?
But that's the thing, though.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to say is like if I don't know what Justin Fields looks like in that system. Now he probably looks worse,
Right.
But I think Sam Darnold looks worse in the Steelers system, though. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a fit thing
No, I
with
get
them.
it. I get it.
But like if you ask me who I'm trusting Justin Fields and a good defense over Sam Darnold, and I know the Vikings defense is legit too, but it's not the Steelers defense.
I don't
and
trust
that's why.
either.
But if you had to trust one,
But
then
if
the other is what I'm
if
saying.
I had to trust one of them, it'd be Kevin McConnell, Jettas,
Yeah.
I
Addison,
would too.
with Hawkinson coming back.
I
and a
would
good
too.
Defense.
This is all without Hawkinson, Hadi.
Now,
yeah,
I think both of them are going to probably fall off eventually. If I had to say one of them who doesn't, more than likely might be the Vikings, but I've been wrong a lot, so we're going to wait and
We all
see.
been
the only real defense they've played have been the Niners, and the Niners have been playing like shit anyways this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listen, they played the Giants and the Texans. Who the Texans are really good defensively, but they're not like a top defensive team. I want to see Sam Darnold on some pressure. Let me just see him under some pressure.
But he beat some
Let me
teams,
see him
though, bro.
hurried
You
a couple
gotta
times in
give
the
him-
pocket.
give
Let me
him his
see him. Let me
flowers.
see him take 2-3 sacks and how he
I'm-
reacts.
I'm-
to
1,000%.
I'm-
1,000%.
I'm
Give
gonna
him
give him
some
flowers,
flowers,
though.
though, Hadi. He beat the
No,
Niners and he beat the
100%.
And
Texans.
I'm going to give somebody his flowers
100%.
too. I'm going to give
100%.
Justin Fields his flowers too.
100%.
He's looked really
Oh,
good.
yeah, of course. I've
I-
always been on a Justin Fields
Yeah,
bandwagon,
I mean,
bro.
he still can't throw it from here to there, but he's doing what they need him to do.
Both of them are reviving their careers.
I
right now
respect
in their
I
respective
respect
teams.
people who win games and win games they say they should, and
Yeah.
sometimes who do things that they shouldn't. Now that we're talking about a lot of teams that we're iffy about and not iffy about, we're gonna jump into contenders versus pretenders. I'm gonna give you guys a team. You're gonna let me know if you think they're a pretender or if they're a contender.
Yes, sir.
The Vikings.
Contenders.
Pretenders.
I got contenders.
Yes.
I think they are contenders. The Saints.
Pretenders.
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 Yes.
The Steelers.
Pretenders.
Pretenders, unfortunately.
Pretenders.
Unfortunately.
The Eagles.
Contenders, brother.
Contenders.
I got the contenders there too. The Seahawks.
Pretenders.
Pretenders.
Pretenders. And last but not least, the Chiefs.
Contenders.
Contenders, man.
My God, bro.
So you jumped on the Vikings contenders, but on the Chiefs, they're 3-0.
No, the only reason why I did that is because those games that the Chiefs squeezed out the Vikings were much impressive.
Much more impressive. I mean, bro, but like the Chiefs have beat the Falcons so far,
On
they've
a missed call.
and they've beat the Bengals.
On a missed call.
And who'd they beat in Week 1?
The Ravens. On a missed call before that.
Come on, bro. But let's say you're right. And there's been a lot of questionable calls for the Chiefs in the NFL. There's a history.
No, you
there's
got to say
trend
a
now.
lot and
There's
emphasize
a trend of it now. But even if that's the case, like if you ignore that, I mean, they
I'm not
beat
ignoring that. Of course,
three
no,
really good
they
teams,
beat-
bro,
no, they
back
beat
to
some
back
teams.
to
Yes,
back.
sir.
If anybody
Now, was it
cares-
ugly? It was ugly.
Very.
But
If anybody cares, I think they're contenders. I don't know.
No, they're contenders.
I think
why did we put them in there?
They're-
Are the Chiefs contenders?
They're contenders. No. 1,000%.
Bold take. Chiefs are contenders.
No, they're definitely contenders.
All right.
But, like the way they did it was
a win.
yeah.
Listen, man. Hey, a win is a win.
Yeah.
You know, to all these 3-0 teams, a win is a win. You got to give them their credit, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of pretenders and contenders, we're gonna jump into some quarterbacks.
Ooh.
And I want to know if you think they're overrated or if they're underrated. Kirk Cousins.
Can I say not rated? Is that allowed? He's overrated.
Okay.
I'm going to go underrated.
I went underrated. Listen, Kirk is steady, man.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to just say
Kurt
that.
Cobain.
But people talk about him like he's this trash bag and that he's not he hasn't been a quarterback that has, done really well in his career. Like you have Kirk Cousins behind center,
You'll be all right.
you'll be all right, and around the right system, you might get yourself deep. I mean, just
Yeah, no, 100%.
you know what I'm saying? The way people think, like you would think he's a 30th rated.
I mean, bro, Atlanta don't look too shabby.
That's
right
what
now.
I'm trying to
You know what I
say.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
you know,
100%.
Dak Prescott.
Underrated.
I want underrated, bro.
I went overrated.
And you're not going to convince me.
Yeah,
He's
you can't
overrated.
convince me
I'm
otherwise,
sorry,
man.
bro.
I went overrated with Dak, and I'll tell you why. So we watched the Ravens in the Cowboys game. When you guys walked away from that game, what did you guys think about that game?
That the Cowboys can beat the Ravens.
It confirmed to me what I thought was going to happen going into the game, which was they were going to get their ass beat. And they got their ass beat.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys can beat the Ravens. They got their ass beat in the first half through the first 3 quarters.
I just want to let you know,
Yeah.
through the last, I think it was, I have to fact check it, but it was like 5-6 years, Harbaugh has given up the most fourth quarter leads in the NFL as a coach.
That's nasty word.
He does it a lot. He gives up a lot of fourth quarter leads. That team was never really.
It wasn't close. Of course it
wasn't
wasn't.
really
We watched
close.
every second of that
They
game.
beat
It
the
wasn't
fuck
close.
out of them, bro.
So
I just think if Dak and CD were on the same page, that full game, be careful, full game, because they were on the same. Some of the parts they were on the same page. They had a chance to beat them.
I know, but the problem with Dak and CD is they can't guard the run.
I understand that,
And they can't run the ball.
Well, you can put more points up on the board.
I know,
for you don't,
but the problem is
run the
when
whole
you
time.
can't run the ball and you can't guard the run, bro. You're asking your quarterback, who you're about to jump into right now. You're asking him to carry a big burden every time he's on offense. You can't run the ball, and my defense can't stop the run. I'm required to put up almost 25-30 every time I step on the field, bro.
So put up 25-30.
Let me jump in
You
real
had the opportunities to put 25-30 on there.
I agree with Suede. People probably think I hate Dak Prescott. That's my quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my quarterback.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Dak, and I didn't want to make this a Ravens versus Dak thing, against Cowboys thing. How many times have we done this with the Cowboys where we look at the end of the game and they went down a ton, and then Dak puts up all these numbers and they get really close and they lose? Talk to me about what Dak did when the game was really close, when it wasn't out of hand yet. He can't play defense. You're 100% right. Dak doesn't get a lot of support on that side against the good teams. But he also doesn't give his defense support because what was the score at halftime?
There was a blowout.
It was 28-6.
28-6.
Right? What was the score at halftime against the Packers in the playoffs? It was a blowout, right? Yeah, your defense is giving up points, but what did you do to support your defense? And Dak, in these situations at the beginning of these games, his passer rating is not good. He's throwing picks. But when you look at the end of the game, he put up some big numbers. Hakeem, what are you talking about? He threw this and threw that. Well, how much of that was when the defense was playing soft coverage because they're up 3-4 touchdowns?
They're
right?
just giving them everything underneath.
You know what I'm saying? Guess what? Patrick Mahomes' defense always didn't give him these great leads early on. Josh Allen's defense is not always giving him these great leads. Lamar isn't always doing that. Why don't you go head-to-head sometimes and go bone for bone, score for score, right? But we look at the end of this game and he has all these big numbers. Come on, Hakeem. He has numbers that ties up with guys like Patty, Josh, and Lamar. When it mattered, what did you do? And that's why he's a little bit overrated for me.
But you're saying he's overrated. You're not saying, like, who has Dak in the same conversation as those three guys?
Depends who you talk to.
If people are doing that, then he's overrated. But I don't see people talk about Dak in the same breath as Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen, bro.
Maybe I just feel a certain way about him. I don't know.
No, we need to knuckle down and bear down with you on the term underrated and overrated and what they mean.
No, I
Like, where do you think he ranks in the league?
It's like 6 to 10.
10-ish. But you know, if you have him
But then that's where most people have him, though.
But you see,
Yeah,
if you have
he's-
him close to
he's not-
6, then you
he's not
think he's
overrated,
close
bro.
to like a top 5. Okay,
You
so
see what I'm saying, though? Are you
Yeah.
trying to understand what I'm saying?
I
Like,
know,
if you have him
I
at
get
8 or
it.
9, and most people have him at 8 or 9, like, everything you said was 1,000% correct.
Last
That's
year,
why he's 8 or 9.
Last
and not
year,
3.
everybody and their mothers wanted to give Dak his flowers for what he did. Right? He was an MVP contender. Right?
Should have won it.
Right? Now let's look back and see what he did against the good teams. That's why I think he's overrated. Because people want to call him an MVP, and some people will argue, yeah, he's close to that top 5 measure. I don't. I really think he's a lot closer to that 10, 11, 12. And in some games, he looks like he shouldn't be out there.
But you got to also look at the context though as well. Like, bro, like, what did his defense do as well?
His defense doesn't do well,
But
but he also
on
does
top
it.
of his defense, bro, like, I love CD. I think CD's the second or third best wide receiver in the
Right.
league, and I think it's a big drop off from the first 3
To
to
4 and 4, yeah.
right? Like, I think there's a big difference between CD and Jamar. I think CD's a lot better than Jamar.
Yes.
Right? Outside of CD, I don't see these weapons that Dak is working with. Like, these crazy weapons, this crazy offensive scheme that they're running, this crazy run game. His offensive line coming into the league was one of the best in the league. It's really not that anymore. It's a pretty solid offensive line. I don't think he's working with the amount of things that you think he's working with.
I understand that.
Bro, you're
You
a
know what
lot
I
on
mean?
deck
So
and not a lot
I'm
on the
just-
coaching as well, too,
I'm-
bro.
it-
You're not a lot on the coaching.
hey, we can take the next hour and a half to talk about the Cowboys.
I
in there,
understand,
but
But then you
bro.
gotta
I'm
include
just,
that
listen,
in
You
there,
have
bro.
to-
you know
Yeah,
what?
you
When
gotta
it
put
comes
in
to
there, bro.
Dak, you guys got to kind of let me off on it because
I know.
I'm very hard on him.
I know you are.
I'm very,
bro.
I'm
You gotta
very,
calm
very.
down, man.
Put it this way: if Dak was on the Vikings this year, mine would have been contender, not pretender on the Vikings. Let's just make that very clear. Does that make sense?
It does make a lot of sense.
So he's
All right.
underrated. He's underrated.
I stick with overrated.
Overrated. He's going
I'm
overrated.
hard. Hey, listen. Let me be a stubborn little asshole when it comes
Right.
to the Cowboys. You know what
Do
I'm
you,
saying?
brother.
You
Do
get
you.
what I'm saying? I'm hard on them. I want them to win. I just want to win.
You got it.
I'm done with the Cowboys. I'm done with Dak. It is what it is. I got one more quarterback for you know. Trevor Lawrence.
If I can highlight Cap's overrated with exclamation points, that's what I'm gonna do. Overrated.
Just so I don't cop out, I was gonna go properly rated, but just so I don't cop out, I'm gonna go overrated.
I'm also going to go overrated.
Okay, we all agree. And the only reason why I say that, I went back to our group chat from last year. Okay? And we all had, well, you two had Trevor Lawrence as like 6 or 7. And when we used to watch those games, and I used to tell you and Ink, and I used to tell you guys, hey, bro, like, I know you guys keep telling me he's this great, like, quarterback, bro.
I don't see it.
But, like, what is it that you guys are talking about that's great? Because every time he's on the field, he's throwing bad passes. He's not getting pressured that much. He's throwing picks. He's making dumb decisions. But then this year, I can't have him fully overrated. I put him overrated because I'm leaning that way more. But he's properly rated because I think most people came back down to earth on Trevor Lawrence. I think most people recognize now he's closer maybe to 12 or 13 than he is to 5.
I went overrated.
Which is where he was last year, though.
Way more.
I went
more.
I went overrated because with the expectations that he came in with and what we thought he was, he hasn't lived up to that. So I would be dumb to call him underrated. I think there's a lot more to Trevor Lawrence, and it's probably a different story for a different day. I think there's a lot more to him. You know, I can't give up. I'm not going to give up on Trevor Lawrence. That's what I will
He's
say.
broken right now, though.
You know what I mean? I can't give up on a guy who's a big quarterback, has an arm. I can't give up on somebody like that. He has all the tools. My thing about Trevor Lawrence is what's around him, right? And again, but if you're that guy and we said that this guy's a generational talent, you should be able to overcome that sometimes, and that makes him overrated.
He was blitzed, rushed, and hurried, combined 12th in the league last year.
Yeah.
So he sees very average pressure as a quarterback, and his numbers are subpar.
In his defense, though,
He-
he got injured, though, they
Hakeem,
were 10-3 last
Hakeem,
year.
the
or
two
like
people,
7-3.
in the league that led the league last year in poor passes, where you're missing your target by a lot, was him at number 1 and Bryce Young at number 2.
But
That's wild.
But put into context, and that
is the
again,
context.
But that's why I'm here with you.
But that's why I can't say, like, when you tell me, oh, but what's around him, I really don't care what's
But-
around you. You're not getting pressured that much.
But
bro.
about
He had-
last year, though,
it's a real bad offensive line and bad coaching.
But I know, but
Doug
like,
Peterson
but I know,
gotta
but he
go,
has a
bro.
Super Bowl winning head coach as a head coach too, bro. Like I know, I understand that, but it's still a head coach that won a Super Bowl before.
Yeah,
bro.
bro, he got a bad
into context about what you said, and I can't disagree about anything
Yeah.
about T-Law. But before he injured his shoulder, the guy
Before he injured his shoulder, he was at
7-3.
59 touchdowns and 39 picks in the
I'm
league.
talking about last year.
Yes,
Last year,
through
when they were
through the
7-3.
end of last year, there were 59 touchdowns and 39 picks. He's lost 8 straight games at this point. Stop telling me a situation. 60 picks, 60 touchdowns and 40 picks, bro.
Hey, I can't.
It's
disagree.
rough, bro.
I can't disagree.
And like, I can't say, oh, what's the help? Because even if he had help, he would be missing the target. He threw the most. He led the league in poor passes thrown last year, bro.
I can't disagree.
And he's not rushed and hurried at a crazy amount. He's 11th, 12th in the league. That means he's seen average pressure.
Yeah,
So don't tell me his offensive line.
I guess I got a soft spot for T-Law.
You do.
He's what Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is who he wishes he was.
Can't disagree.
It is what it is.
Timmy.
Yeah, it is
Maybe
what
I'm
it
wrong.
is. Hurts to say that about Trevor Lawrence, but you
I
know
know
what?
it's I like Trevor.
But it is what
man.
it is, though. You know, sometimes we gotta just call it the way we see it, and you know, he's overrated right now.
And before we move on to the next topic, I don't want to do this. I know you guys have been around this sport a lot longer than I have, but I don't want to get ourselves in a situation or a position where we let athletes live on laurels from years past. Like, oh, he took that team to an AFC Championship game. So now for the next 4 years, nobody's going to be able to replace him.
Yeah.
No, bro. Like, to me, Jared Goff is better than Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm saying that, and Jared Goff might not be a top 10 quarterback.
1,000%.
It's not like I'm a biased Jared Goff fan. I don't think he's top 10. But let's not let guys live off of something for 2, 3 years, 4 years after that. Bro, like this league it looks completely different than it does 3 years ago, 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So like, let's keep updating as we go. With new information, we got to update, bro.
Can't disagree.
I'm cool with y'all. I'm cool with that. All right, so talked about all these quarterbacks. It's time to talk about some real quarterbacks, bro. Some real quarterbacks, bro. If anybody doesn't know this yet, we have probably the biggest Tom Brady fan of all time here. I mean, I've known this kid, what? Is it 15 years now?
16.
16 years. I heard Tom Brady from when we first met, and we still talk about Tom Brady to this day. And if you guys don't know by now, I'm a pretty big Patrick Mahomes. I think I like Patrick Mahomes, right? I think I'm a pretty good fan of him.
Huge.
And I don't know if you guys seen episode to episode. You know, me and Hadi, there are little knobs here and there, and we've had a lot of discussions over it. But I wanted to open up the table to you.
And keep it civil.
Keep it civil. We'll keep it civil. Believe it or not, you're going to be really shocked by the end of this conversation. I think me and you are going to come on a level playing ground.
Really?
Believe it or not, yeah.
Think so?
But what I want to know is what bothers you the most about the whole Patty Mahomes narrative versus Tom Brady?
One thing I'm going to go out and say before I even start this. Tom Brady is the GOAT and will always be the GOAT in my eyes. One of the biggest things was mostly because of you, of how you portray Patty and how you talk about him and how you make it seem, well, not make it seem, how he is like one of the best quarterbacks ever, if not the best quarterbacks ever. And you just throw these small shots at me. And it makes me hate the guy. And I don't want to hate the guy because you guys know me with NBA, somewhat with NFL after Tom Brady retired. Bro, I'm a sports fan. I like watching good teams, bad teams, young players, old players. I like to see them produce, to see what they do from not a fan perspective, if that makes any sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Okay. These stats that I'm about to give you, this stuff that I'm about to give you about Tom, should make you lean a little bit more towards Tom instead of Patty. Should. Like a regular, like all these stats.
Of course.
Tom Brady won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years as a starter. Won back-to-back championships at the age of 27. He won his 3rd title at the age of 27. I know Patty did the same thing. He did it at 28. Didn't do it at 27. Cool. When you give me these stats and these facts about Patty and about Tom, you always add the context to Tom, never add it to Patty. Am I wrong? Tell me if I'm wrong.
You're 100% right.
Okay. This league changed so much since Tom started till now. 300 and 1,000 degrees it changed. How the players play, how the quarterbacks play, the calls, the rules, everything. You also have to put that in context as well. I'm going to name you some of the defenses Tom has played against throughout his years. We've watched them. You watched them. I watched them. Everybody's watched them. The Legion of Boom in 2014 when Tom won. Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Brandon Browner, and Bobby Wagner. Top 10 defense of all time. Tom went through them. Tom beat them. Regular season and in the Super Bowl. The Baltimore Ravens and the best linebacker ever in Ray Lewis, best free safety ever in Ed Reed. And if you want to sprinkle some Terrell Suggs in there.
No, that's not a sprinkle.
Yeah.
Don't sprinkle.
That's a
that.
splash.
That's a
splash.
That's a
of Terrell Suggs
tsunami.
in there.
The 2008 Steelers were the best defense in the league stats-wise, and one of the best defenses of all time. James Harrison, Lawrence Timmons, Lamar Woodley, Troy Polamalu, Ike Taylor. I'm not naming you no bums.
Sheesh.
No bums at all. And they've all played together through a long period of time. And Tom went through them. Significantly, he went through them. Every year. And your boy Ank knows that as well. Why he hates Tom. That year, the Steelers had the best defense in like 3 or 4 years straight. Tom went through them, had 4,800 yards and 50 touchdowns with 8 picks in 2007 on their way to the Super Bowl in that 17-0 season. You see what I'm saying? 4,800 yards with 50 touchdowns and 8 picks. Also, you got to play that in factor with the defenses that Tom has played.
Yeah.
To the defenses that Patty has played, which, in my opinion, could be wrong. You guys can fact check. Hasn't played a top 15 defense of all time. Not even a top 15. Tom Brady has played against 3 of the top defenses of all time.
Yeah.
The 13 Seahawks, the 15 Broncos, and the 08 Steelers are labeled as legit in the top 10 defenses of all time. Put them at 11, put them at 12. You can plug them in top 10. Man, this is a lot getting off my chest with this shit. This is a lot.
Table is yours, baby.
In the 2002 NFL season, Tom Brady led the league in touchdown passes as a third-year starter. With how much? With 28 touchdowns. Jared Goff last year had 29, and he was 6th. Gotta also put that in perspective, man. The game has changed so much. So much with that. When Patty won the Super Bowl in 2022, arguably his best season ever. You guys remember the stats. 5,200 yards, 41 touchdowns, 12 picks, 67% completion rate. Best season ever. That was wild. The year before, in 2021, Tom threw for 5,300 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 12 picks at 44 years old. Also, something you got to look forward to. 44. Not 28, not 27, 44. That plays a huge factor. Not just for me, for anybody. Tom in his 20s won 3 Super Bowls, passing for 21,000 yards, 147 touchdowns. That was in his 20s. Fast forward that to his 30s and his 40s at the end of his career, when he was still winning. He won 2. He had 27,000 yards, 193 touchdowns. In that age, when he was 36, 38, through 41, 42, those years. He still won 2. You would think he'd fine wine. He would age better. No. The league just got that much worse at the quarterback position. It changed so much. Also, we have to put that in perspective. You want to go ahead and say, Bill this, Bill that, Bill Belichick, when you're saying 50-50 or 60, you said 60-40 about Bill. Bill played with Tom 11 seasons. Bill was 81-98 with a win percentage. Well, I'm sorry, this is without Tom. 11 seasons without Tom. 81-98 with a 45% win percentage. Go switch it up. The Andy Reid played 19 years without Pat. 60% win percentage. 15 winning seasons, 5 conference championship games, and 1 Super Bowl appearance. As an offensive mastermind. That's what Patty got. That's what Tom got. You can mix them up with who's the greatest of all time. It's up to you. You can throw both of them in there. I don't mind. Prior to Patty starting, the Chiefs were 11-5, 12-4, and 11-6. He came to an already complete team. Basically, you can say they were winning. They weren't winning crazy, but they were They were a top 5 team. Petty is 15-3 in the postseason. He's third all time in the playoffs. Those two, those 2 out of 3 came from Tom. AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. When Tom literally held arguably the GOAT of the best quarterback of all time to 0 touchdowns. Not Tom, the defense. And you take out the defense, Tom still performed. Yeah, man, that's my issue. I can sit here and go long. I can sit here and name you stats. I can sit here and do whatever, man. There's so much more
Well,
to this.
are you done?
I'm done.
Are you sure?
Are you sure? You got anything else on your chest? Seriously?
Sweating. Hey, your boy's
I'm dead
sweating.
serious.
There's a lot more. There was a
I'm
lot
serious.
more to dig.
Your
dig
boy's
deep, but
sweating.
it would literally take the whole night, and it's so much.
I'm happy that you're able to Google. It's really good. Seriously. So I'm going to take
Was that a shot? That's like
no, it was a joke. Nobody laughed, but he did. I got him to laugh. So I agree with 99.9% of everything that you said. Actually, 100% of it. I want you to know that. I'm taking a whole different approach for this conversation. All right? First off, I want to do one thing. I want to apologize to you and Tom Brady.
Wow.
Let me start off.
Okay.
I got to blame my younger and immature self because I love winners. Think about all the players that I love. I love winners. I loved Kobe, and I got to apologize to LeBron too, and Hadi too. My young, immature self didn't allow me to appreciate that. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. He's the best winner of all time in football. He is. As of right now, he's the greatest winner. Same thing with LeBron. And my hating ass at a young age didn't allow me to do that.
I have goosebumps right now. I'm just letting you know.
I bet you right now if Tom Brady came into the league and he won the way he did, I would be a Tom Brady fan.
Yeah, he'd be the biggest Tom Brady.
I would be a Tom Brady fan. So forgive my old self. I'm sorry.
Yes,
To
sir.
Tom Brady, if he ever watches this thing.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Greatest quarterback of all time. But there's a reason why I love Patty. It's because he's also a winner. The reason why, and I'm going to tell you what my agenda is right now and what I'm going to do for you and all Tom Brady fans. I'm going to justify why we bring up Patrick Mahomes when we talk about him potentially. I don't know if he'll ever be the greatest quarterback of all time. If I had to guess, the mountain that he has to clear to do it, it's crazy to think about. I don't think he'll ever do it. But I'm here to justify to you why, if there's anybody that would ever do it, he has started in the beginning of his career to put himself in a position to do it. I think that your issue with the Tom Brady versus Patty Mahomes thing is you think that we picked Patrick Mahomes from a random bucket of players, and because he just throws a couple yards here and there, he throws a ball behind his back, and we just think that he's the one. That's not why we did it. We did it because he put himself in a position to potentially get there. I can't talk about longevity. We don't like, trying to predict the future. I can't predict the future. This is what I can do, though. This is what I can do. I'm not here to convince you that Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT. I'm not here to convince you that he's the best quarterback of all time either. I'm here to justify why we bring him up when we do it. So this is what I did. Telling you guys with full disclosure. I brought up Tom Brady's first 7 years versus Patrick Mahomes' first 7 years. Why did I do that? Because I don't know what Patrick Mahomes is doing beyond it, and I know what Tom did, but I don't know what to do. At any point in this, I'm not going to bring up any opinion. I'm bringing up only factual metrics and statements. Are you with me so far?
I'm with you, and I already know the stat. That's why I'm like,
No,
I already know it.
You have no idea where I'm going. You want to know what I love about their two careers so far? Is in 7 years, they're pretty much identical. Both of them didn't start their first years. Literally, neither of them started their first years. And just to let you know, I don't count this year yet because I don't know what's going to happen this year yet. We don't know what's going to go on. Okay. So, I can argue that when it comes to Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, and I need your help on this, there has never been two athletes in football and in basketball that have ever started off so quick and started off winning at high levels. The only person I could think of in their first 7 years that could do it was maybe Magic when he came in.
It would be Magic, yeah.
And maybe Kobe, but different circumstances. But when we talk about...
As the man, it's Magic.
Yeah.
Is the only guy.
But when we talk about football, it's not even close. Right? So in Patty's first 7 years, right, he sat on the bench in 2017. 2018, his first year starting, he came out, he threw 50 touchdowns and 12 picks, 5,100 yards. I'm not going to go year by year. His first 7 years, he had 219 touchdowns versus 62 picks. Tom Brady was no fucking bum. It was a different NFL. It was a different time. In his first 7 years, he had 147 touchdowns and 78 picks. Now, let's talk about when it matters, right? When it matters is when it's in the playoffs and when it's also in the Super Bowl, postseason time. I don't care what people do in the regular season, and you guys know that. I really, really don't care. Both of them won, right? When you think about what Patty did in 7 years, he went to the playoffs. He went to the playoffs 6 times. So every time that he's been on the field as a starter, he's gone to the playoffs, and he's been at least in an AFC championship game. Never less than an AFC championship game.
You went to 6 straight.
Yep.
6 straight.
6 straight.
Right,
and I believe if I had it right here, this is 1, 2, 3, that's 4 Super Bowls, right? Tom Brady, in his first 7 years, he didn't start the first one. He went to 1, he missed the playoffs in his second year. He went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He went to 5 playoffs in 7 years. He didn't make the playoffs in his second year. And then in one of the years, they lost in the divisional round. Right? I bring this up to you because when we look at these numbers and we look at these facts, right? In their first 7 years, Patrick Mahomes has built a resume to give himself a chance to be the greatest quarterback of all time. Again, I'm not saying that he's going to do it. I don't know if he's going to do it, but he has given himself a chance. He's gone to the AFC Championship every single year that he's a starter. He's gone to 4 Super Bowls, and he won 3 of the Super Bowls with 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Not to compare them, but in Tom Brady's first 7 years, my guy missed the playoffs his second year and then lost in the divisional in his 6th year, in the divisional round in his 6th year. I'm not putting that against him because, if you look at the rest of his career, Jesus Christ, we don't got to say. He just did it. He just talked for 10 straight minutes about it, right? So when you talk about their 7 years compared to each other, right? Yes, Patrick Mahomes has put himself in that class like nobody else ever has. Bro, there has been some great quarterbacks around here. Peyton Manning is great. Ben is great. Eli's a really good quarterback. A-Rod's a really good quarterback. Lamar Jackson is a really good quarterback. Josh Allen is a really good quarterback. But why don't we talk to him at the level that we talk about some of, like Tom Brady and Patty? Because they run into these two guys and they lose to them every single freaking time.
1,000%.
I want to talk about a few different things though, because when it came to the Super Bowl, I was very, very ignorant about Tom Brady, and I was also very, very ignorant about Hadi Mahomes, and I was also ignorant about their playoff situations, right? So I want you to think about something. In Patrick Mahomes' 6 playoffs, so 7 years, 6 playoffs, he threw 41 touchdowns and 9 picks. In Tom Brady's, he had 20 touchdowns and 9 picks. Something that I always used to do and I was really wrong is I would sit there and I would just always assume that Tom Brady wasn't a great quarterback in the Super Bowl. I was completely wrong. When you go to the Super Bowl, you play against the other best team in the NFL. Mm-hmm. You're going to play a great defense or you're going to play a great offense, right? And winning a Super Bowl, you won. You deserve the credit. So I went Super Bowl for Tom because I really wanted to learn about it. In Tom Brady's first Super Bowl, when they beat the Rams,
Good as show on turf.
That was probably his weakest Super Bowl. He had 1 touchdown throw in that game. It was actually his only touchdown throw of the whole postseason, that lone touchdown. The next year, they missed the playoffs. He came back 2 years later against the Panthers, absolutely freaking dominated. He had 3 touchdowns and a pick. I got to give him credit about the Rams, though, in the first one. He led his team to the game-winning field goal. I mean, shit, young quarterback, he did what he had to do, right? Against the Panthers, it was an automatic blowout. And with the Eagles, he had a pretty good game also. He had 2 touchdowns, 236 yards, and he also. But the problem with that is he didn't win the Super Bowl MVP on that one. So he went to 3 Super Bowls. He won all 3. He only won 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Patrick Mahomes, on the other hand, his numbers weren't that hot in the Super Bowl, believe it or not, in some of these games. I would give him some credit on some of these things too, though. In the 3 Super Bowls that he went to that they won, in every single one of those games, they trailed. Against the Niners the first time around, they trailed 20-10 going into the fourth quarter. They came back and they won that game. Against the Eagles, they trailed 24-14 at halftime. They came back and they won. He had 3 touchdown throws in that game. And against the Niners, in the last one, we all see what they did. They came back. They won in overtime, right? He got his ass freaking whooped by Tom Brady. It happened. I bring up all these numbers to you because don't make the same mistake I made about Tom Brady. And don't hate him because I think he's really great. I don't think that he's really great. There's proof here to show you that he is great. And if there's anybody that will ever try to take that torch from Tom Brady, it's him. Because nobody else has ever put together a career and a resume in his short time in this league. I can't tell you what's going to happen beyond this. I really, really don't know. But I'm just here to justify to you that this isn't a guy that we just chose. This is a guy that put himself in a position.
Oh, I know.
Stats-wise, winning-wise, what he does on the field, it's all there. And we got to stop doing this thing. All these great quarterbacks that win a lot, they play with great players. It's the only way you could win. They all play with greats, man. Tom Brady played with greats. Patrick Mahomes played with greats, and I promise you he's gonna play with a lot more great players. It's the only way they get there. They all play with great coaches, bro. Bill Belichick was a great coach. Andy Reid was a great coach. But something I made a mistake about Tom Brady is I would always sit there and I would say, yeah, I think that if this guy was there, he would win 7 rings. There's nobody in the history of this game that would win 7 rings in that same position. Are there guys that I think that could win 3 to 4? Maybe. But the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. I think there's a guy in this league that maybe could win 1 of his rings. We'll see what
maybe
goes.
2.
Maybe 2. My whole point about this is that the reason why these guys are great is because you could instill them onto a team, and a team that does win 11 games, right? Guess what? He takes them to the Super Bowl every year. He takes them to the AFC Championship when we talk about Tom and Patrick Mahomes. I gave you all these stats. You put your opinion about what you want to put about it. But it's time for you to understand this isn't a situation of this is just an overrated guy that we put in this situation.
Never said he was overrated.
But
I've never said.
But I feel like you're angered that we even bring up the conversation that he's potentially one of those guys that can do it. And we just sat here and we just went over what they both did. I can't compare beyond 7 years. And you know what? We'll do this every single year if we have to. But I can't. I'm trying to prove to you, though, that this guy he's the only one that could possibly do it. Possibly. I don't know if he's going to do it. You need to understand that.
No, I understand that, man. It's just when not just you, when everybody else just like makes it and puts it in perspective that he is gonna, like, basically they're gonna say he is gonna do it. Like, he's on that road to doing it, and he probably is, but he probably is not.
We don't know.
But it leans on more that he is gonna do it than he's not.
We don't know that, though.
Yeah, but when you watch,
The narrative is that it leans.
when you watch these guys talk, whatever, us, podcasters, sports, whatever it is, they lean on him doing it and becoming that second or first potentially more than, oh man, what if he does this? What if he falls? They don't even say that.
And I understand
And
that.
that's it diminishes all that Tom has done through his 20 years. But it diminishes the shit out of it.
It doesn't. He's chasing a ghost at the end of the day.
I understand that. It changed, but it's all on that. It's all like, oh yeah, he's gonna do it. Oh, he's gonna win this. He's gonna do that. He's gonna do that. Like, how about the rest of what Tom done through his 20-year career?
100%.
That's what pisses me off and annoys me. Like, yo, he's great, best quarterback in 4 years, 5 years, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. But okay, give the guy some breathing room to see what he's gonna do in the next 5, in the next 10, however much he plays.
Yeah.
That's all my problem is with him, man. He's a great quarterback. Great quarterback. But also, when you're comparing those stats, you also have to put context. Like what I just named you, with all the stuff, like the small details, the defenses, who he's played against, how the game diminishes, how it's changed, the parameters of the game. You also have to put in that. You know what I'm saying? You can't just say, oh, yeah. Because through 7 years, not just similar. No, he blows them out the water in touchdowns and in wins. He has 77 wins. I seen the stat. I seen it thousands of times. It's all over the internet. When it first came, when he won last year's Super Bowl, all over the internet.
But you just said it yourself, though. But this is why we talk to the extent of why we do about Patrick Mahomes. Because, again, I'm not here to compare them. I'm here to show you that there's a resume to put us in that position to compare them.
Yes, 100%.
Listen, man, the league has changed. It's changed.
Yes.
But there's some things about the leagues that don't change, that don't justify some of the things that have happened for both of them.
1,000%.
Just let's just be really real about
1,000%.
it. One touchdown throughout a whole postseason in a Super Bowl. I don't care if he's playing in the backyard. Missing the playoffs in his second year, just coming off a Super Bowl. I don't care what kind of league we're in. For Patty, getting his ass whooped the way he did it against Tampa, yeah, bro. Like, I don't care what league we're in. That matters.
Yeah.
Right? These things matter, but we can't put all of that on some things that are just clear as day. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's clear as day that they both started off their careers at a great point, and Tom Brady continued going. But this is something else that kind of bothers me about the Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady thing, too. We assume that, like, basically one of the greatest quarterbacks that in this short time that he's put is just magically going to fall off a cliff. Unless some tragic, God forbid, this guy tears his ACL 3 times in a row, there's no evidence that somebody who has put up the numbers and has the success that he has so far is going to fall off.
Of course. Of course.
And guess what? There's going to be times where he's going to probably go 5 years without winning a Super Bowl. He may miss the playoffs, but what happens is that when we look back, we all, this is the funniest thing about things. We always said, man, Tom Brady never did that. Or, man, Patrick Mahomes never did that. They all did it all. They all had their bad moments. They all had their great moments. We got to get out of that, man.
Right.
We got to get out of that.
Right.
My whole point about this was that I need you to realize why we bring him up. I brought up enough evidence to you for you to understand why, when we talk about Tom Brady, why we bring Patrick Mahomes as the guy who could potentially do it.
Of course.
And I'm just doing this for your benefit, because I don't want you to hate the guy like I hated Tom Brady. And that's my fault. That's all I have for you, man. I hope that we came to a level playing field at the end of the day about this. I hope that we brought some context around this. I hope that you start to enjoy them. And I'm not going to talk about the GOAT conversation when we watch games and stuff like that. We'll wait and we'll see. And I'll predict whatever I predict. But I wanted to bring a little bit of context to the conversation.
No, there was a lot of context. There was...
There
was. I want you to say something about this. What do you think about this, man?
I've been sitting here and you've been really, really quiet.
This is the first time
I've never seen you this quiet.
I've talked this
much.
much.
Okay?
This is like your conversation. This is.
What were some of your thoughts though about after hearing all of that? What do you think about everything?
I've been telling you guys for a couple of days. Both of you guys are right and both of you guys are wrong in a lot of ways. Every time this topic comes up, I flipped back and forth between Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Never about the GOAT, but who's better. I flipped back and forth. And I've always said you're right in a lot of ways and wrong, and you're right in a lot of ways and you're wrong. And I'm glad you guys came to the table and put it out on the table, and you guys got to a common ground. Because listen, bro, Tom Brady, the difference, the gap between 1 and 2 as far as the GOAT is concerned, it's a wide gap right now.
Absolutely.
Because if you take the first 10 years of Tom and line him up against Pat, it's arguably he's the GOAT. If you just take the first 10 years of Tom, he's still arguably the GOAT. And if you take his last 10, he's still arguably the GOAT. So he put together 2 GOAT careers in one total career. Yeah. That's the way I look at it. The defenses were harder during Tom's era. the league was a different league. Like so I brought it up here just to bring it up. In 2001, the league threw for 102,000 yards. Before we get bogged down on numbers, in 2023 they threw for 119,000 yards. 17,000 yard difference. It's a completely different league.
Absolutely.
It's not a numbers thing, though. You can't look at it as just numbers
course.
based. He's right in the way that, yes, we didn't pick him out of a hat, bro. I've made the conclusion, looking at their careers, before I wrap up my total overarching point about this. There is a guy who you could plug in on the Chiefs and he could do exactly what Patrick Mahomes did, and his name is Tom Brady. And there's only one other guy that you could plug in the Patriots team to win 7, and his name is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I came to that conclusion.
And 1 and 2, and there's a big fucking gap to 3.
I came to that conclusion.
If you look at their careers and you look at their resumes and you look at how good they are, and it's scary. It's scary how good they are at winning. There's guys, bro, right? Somebody comes right now and tells you, hey, man, like when I watch these two guys, bro, Josh Allen looks better than Patrick Mahomes. Who is this Patrick Mahomes guy? Let's say you never tell him what he's done in the career, in his league. Let's say you never tell him about the MVPs. You never tell him about the Super Bowls. You never tell him about the numbers. You just put him out on the field. Guy who's never watched football before, like watch these guys. He's going to look and be like, man, that Josh Allen guy looks crazy. Right?
Why is he number
But then every year, Super Bowl.
Yep.
Great offense, Super Bowl. Bad offense, Super Bowl. Great defense, Super Bowl. Bad defense.
It's not a coincidence.
Tom Brady, bad offense, not a lot of weapons, Super Bowl. Bad defense. I want to bring up something. The Bill Belichick, you know how and this is perfect going into my final point. We need to stop being, we all do this. About football, we do this with basketball. We're 30 years old. Sometimes we need to understand that we're not shit, bro. We're still babies, and there's things that happen before us that we need to go study. Because if we don't go study it, once we jump on these platforms, we look like idiots. Mm-hmm. We need to go see, hey, bro, what did this actually look like? What did this actually look like? I'm the biggest LeBron James fan you guys will ever meet. I've said it 100 times. If somebody comes and tells me Michael Jordan is the GOAT, I'm not going to sit there and argue with them or disagree with them. It's fine. It's cool. Because I've built that understanding. I went back and looked at everything, and I looked and I said, man, you know what this guy does really well, bro? He fucking wins. He's a winner. That's what he does.
Yes, sir.
I just hope this was I hope it was a point to understand that, like, hey, bro, sometimes we got to humble ourselves and say we're not shit. We got to go back. We got to look at these things.
1000%.
Bill Belichick wasn't the reason Tom Brady was winning these Super Bowls. His teams were giving up 23 points a game in these Super Bowls. He won the first 3. That would rank as the 23rd best defense in the league this year. But it was Tom Brady out there throwing 300 and 2 touchdowns and 503 touchdowns, sometimes in a loss, when Bill Belichick wasn't doing his job.
1000%.
Against these defenses that Bill Belichick wasn't this offensive mastermind.
100%.
But you know who would do the same thing in that same era and in that same position and in that same situation? Patrick Mahomes. And those are the only 2 guys that would do it. Just like in basketball, the only 2 guys that could maybe come back from that 3-1 and win 4 in that situation and maybe go on 2 different three-peats in the 90s is LeBron and Michael. These 2 guys, compared to those 2 GOATs in the other sport, are much more alike than you think. That conversation is much more alike than you think. That's what I like that you guys did.
Bro,
you guys
it's not it's something. This is funny. It's not a coincidence that these guys always win, man.
No, it's not.
You know what's so funny and why I've been laughing at you guys when you guys bring up, like, you guys been bringing up the whole Chiefs thing and, like, oh my God, the calls and stuff like that. I did the same thing with Tom.
Yeah, they did it with Tom.
You try to justify, like, bro, why?
Yeah,
It's why I've been laughing at you guys, and I haven't even been really saying anything when you guys are bringing up, like, well, look at these videos. This guy, this Tom Brady fan put together this video of all these calls. Like, we justify. It's not a coincidence that Tom Brady is great. It's not a coincidence why Patrick Mahomes is great and why they win so much.
You know why we do that? We do that because when you look at a professional sports league, you look at the NFL, for example. You can call Sam Darnold whatever you want to call him. In middle school, he was the fucking man. In high school, I'm sure he was ranked top of his state as a quarterback.
He was the man all the way up until he
In
got drafted.
college,
Brother.
he was the fucking man. He got to the NFL, and it got ugly quick. And now he's reviving himself, but it got ugly pretty quick. You want to know why? Because every person that boots up on Sundays, puts their cleats on, and jumps on that field, has been at the top of his class at his position. These guys are the real fucking deal. Right? Same thing in basketball. These guys are the man. Patrick Beverley averaged 38 points per game in high school. Okay? That guy was almost out of the league if he didn't find some feistiness and some fight in his heart. We try to justify it because it doesn't make sense that in a league where everybody's that fucking good, how are we allowing a guy to win this much? Like, how are we allowing that to happen? Like, how is he doing it? They say what you want. You know what Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes have in common? When you know what it looks like when they're behind center? The game looks easy.
Very.
It just looks like they're out there playing chess and everybody's just playing checkers.
That's why.
That's what it looks like.
That's why I've been saying recently. This is why I've been saying recently. You think that I was doing it with an agenda, but I truly, when I watch the Chiefs, I feel like I'm watching the Patriots with the way they win sometimes, the way that they come back at the end of some of these games. When the ball ends up in Patty's hands in the fourth quarter, they just find a way to win. Sometimes there's a bunch of nobodies out there, bro. Sometimes you're like Xavier Worthy, like Sky Moore, Edelman. You like, and they make it work. Like these guys' careers are a lot more identical than you really think. It's just, and that's why I brought it up. You thought I was bringing it up with an agenda, trying to compare them to. It's just identical with the way that they win. It just really, really is.
If they are that identical, does that now mean you believe that? Because I'm leaning that way. I'm believing Pat needs 6 or 7 based on everything I saw when I went back and looked. Do you think he still needs only 4 or 5 to do it?
Not 4.
He needs closer to 6. Now.
So I think that, and I thought about this long and
before
hard.
we can open a real conversation, because right now it's not a real conversation.
No,
before
right
we can
now-
open a new one.
Right now, it's not real. Right now, and again, right now, it's not. Today, it's not.
So we're gonna slow down on the GOAT talk from now on.
No,
I know I'm halting.
We'll always talk about the potential. Anything looking at these numbers early on actually made my eyes open up even more about that this is the only guy that can possibly be it.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, so I thought about it in that way. It's just really hard to project for me. If he three-peats, because that's something that nobody else has done, I think with 5, depending on what happens in the second half of his career, then I can make an argument. But if he three-peats and he wins 6, then, and depending on numbers-wise and everything like that, because I don't think that Tom Petty has to play 20 years to be the GOAT. Do I think he will play 20 years if he's healthy? Yeah, because say whatever you want.
He wants to be Tom.
He wants to be Tom. Because he's saying exactly what I'm saying. I had this magical run in the beginning of my career. He's going to go after it. I don't know if he'll play for 20 years. But what if he accomplishes a feat in 16, 17 years?
Yeah, no, 100%.
You get what I'm saying? So, that's when everybody brings up longevity. No, Tom Brady, that's why he's the GOAT, because he was great for that long. But we can't, if Petty doesn't play 20 years, but he puts together a 17-year career and he has one less ring, then no, we can't be arrogant and say, well, he's not the GOAT because he didn't play 20 years and maybe the guy doesn't want.
No, so let's not do this. I know this conversation is stretching, but it's fine. It's a good one. Let's not do this because we always do this in certain spots with athletes. We always go, oh, well, this guy never did that. This guy never did this. So this guy is better than that guy. That never made any sense to me.
It doesn't make
because
sense.
it's situational, right? It's situational.
It is.
Number one. Number two, we can sit here all day and talk about things that Tom did that Pat will never do. Things that Pat will do that Pat will do that Tom will never do. No, we know that he did or didn't do it. We know both of them did. But that's not a point to be like, oh, Patrick Mahomes didn't play 20, so he's the GOAT now. Or Tom did a 3-peat, so he can't be the GOAT now. It's because you're making it, you're turning it into such a specific criteria to be the GOAT. So okay, Patrick Mahomes 3-peats and he wins 5. What happens if a guy comes in the league, right, and he wins 5 and 6 years?
100%.
5 and 7 years. We can't now be like, hey, Pat, Tom, I'm sorry, you're out. This guy just won 4 and 6 years or whatever.
I bring up the 3-peat only too, because I still think even if he three-peats, it won't truly be a universal thing that the conversation could be real. I think he'll still need 6, right?
Yeah. It's a deep. It's deep.
The reason why I bring up the three-peat is because it's like something that nobody's ever done.
I know, but I forgot who was. Like, that team was riddled with injury the second time year when he missed the playoffs, and they still won 9 games. But he won the 3 that when he was in the playoffs, he won all 3 times.
Yes, but my
it's like, who knows if they're healthy? What happens?
Again.
But you're right. You did or didn't do it.
Like,
it
is what it is, right? Again, though, the three-peat is a puzzle to, again, for another, that would be year 8.
You're 100% right.
It'd be year 8, right? So it would be another piece of his pie in the first 8 years of his career to still justify. It'd be something that none of these other great quarterbacks did. Again, I was very arrogant, and sometimes you guys fucking fire me up and you guys make me say things I shouldn't say in the fucking moment. You guys got to stop fucking doing that. Stop pissing me off, and I started saying dumbass shit. You guys know, and you guys throw me on the pod.
Hey, can I ask you a question? Why do you lose your cool so quick in these sports?
I've been trying not to.
Why do you lose your shit so quick?
Because we'll be going, and then there will be like something that it's just so like
who cares?
Out of bounds, and I lose my shit.
You say
why do you say
some of these things out of anger, but sometimes you actually mean it out of anger.
Some of the shit he says out of anger, he doesn't mean though.
No, there's some of the things I'm just.
Some of the shit after he'll give you a look. Like,
it's like,
I obviously don't mean that, bro. But you know what I mean.
When he talks quick, he means that shit.
Listen, he's a very passionate person.
I love that about him. No,
we all love it about him.
Of course.
So he's passionate about his sports takes.
He's very competitive as well.
Especially about GOAT takes, like NFL GOAT takes. And he's passionate about the sport. So, I mean,
it is
what it is.
It sucks.
But just let this be a lesson for all of us to do some homework sometimes. Look at it beyond the last fucking 6 years and let's see what actually happened, bro.
It sucks because we got to wait a long time to. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
my guess by the end of it is that it's going to turn into the LeBron Mike thing where
you got
the younger generation is going to say Pat.
Yeah.
And the
older generation is going to say Tom. And they're both going to be right.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's going to turn into.
It's just, it sucks because we have to probably wait another fucking, like,
10, 15 years.
15
years.
Are we the younger or the older generation, though?
We're definitely
we watched
younger.
both.
We're the younger.
Well, that's,
But we do that a lot, though. Like,
we watched both.
But we do that a lot, bro. Like, we always do that. Us three, people our age, we do it less than other people, believe it or not, our age. But, like, we always think the shit that we're watching right this fucking second is the greatest thing since fucking sliced bread. And we never think back to look like, bro, hey, man, this guy averaged fucking 50 one day. Let me see what it looked like.
And
you know what I mean?
Also that's difficult.
Like, how did that happen?
You know what else is difficult?
Yeah.
LeBron James and Michael Jordan never even
played with each other, yeah.
We're even close. So people watching Jordan had time to, marinate.
The difference with Tom and Pat is that people watch Tom and Pat play against each other and before and after.
It's because it just happened.
We've seen them in the same league.
They're in the same league. So nobody. Tom Brady fans think it's really disrespectful because there hasn't been time to come by, and it's just the way that it turned out.
But they felt the same way about Mike. I mean, say what you want. Like,
how many?
Mike retired in 2002 officially. LeBron was there in 2003.
Oh, so yeah.
So like, they didn't catch each other for 1 year, but they missed each other by a year. It's a lot closer than you think. But again, for the old heads, don't be completely nostalgic. And for the younger generation, let's be a lesson. Yeah. Don't be completely ignorant.
I like this, man.
Find a way in the middle somewhere.
I like this.
These guys are fucking great.
I already told you.
We can all agree they're fucking great. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's your opinion.
Yeah.
I already told you.
It's just your opinion.
I already told you how I felt. How it is. Like,
I don't blame you for feeling the way you felt.
You know what I'm saying?
I would have felt the same way.
I would love to watch him play, bro. I would love to watch him through a clear lens.
Watch him through a clear lens.
Without that,
it's time to do it, man.
Because I know, like, I've seen how good
your
he
boy
is.
just came out and said there's a big gap between the GOAT and the second greatest of all time as of right this moment.
Yes.
And he's gonna stop bringing up the GOAT conversation when you watch him.
Yes.
Watch him with a clear lens.
I would.
By the way, I can't fucking stand the Chiefs.
Yeah, I can't either.
And I don't like him. By the way, I don't like Patrick Mahomes. But why don't I like him?
What do you mean?
He's so fucking good. That's the reason why I don't like him. And I don't like
Do
the
you
Chiefs because
know
they're
why
good,
I hate the Cowboys so much?
They're fucking good, bro.
You want to know why I hate Dak Prescott so much sometimes? I'm like, why can't he just play a little bit like him so we could win?
Yeah.
That's why it infuriates me.
It was a good conversation, man.
Yeah, man.
It was the best conversation we've had on this pod.
like you said, we're gonna come out as friends.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna go ahead and say it's still Tom. Yeah, so that's,
I'm happy to hear that,
end
man.
it.
That's great for you, brother. I brought a lot to you. I hope you
End
learned
it.
a little bit.
I did. I hope
Yeah.
you learned as well too. What all the
We
content
got
stuff.
Pro Football Reference, ESPN
Oh
Stats
man,
Up,
yo,
Advanced
I'm
Metrics.
gonna say this right now. I studied with this more than I studied in high school, bro.
Yeah, we know.
Bro. Yeah, you did as well. It's not like you know the stats are on top of your head. So you went.
No, what are you
through
talking about? I
Google.
knew them all. But off the top of my head.
you need to, you know, sports debates.
Dictionary. Yeah.
Sports debates are a very funny thing.
Yeah.
Me and Hakeem especially.
Yeah.
Usually, I've never seen you do it. Like we don't argue with sports with people, like on the street.
Because you know too much.
We know too much, and also like.
The detail.
But sometimes if I don't know I don't know completely about something, I'm not gonna argue it because I don't know. Like, yeah, okay, you might be right. I don't know. I'm not gonna sit there and argue with it. The problem is you have some ignorant motherfuckers that'll come and try to argue about something that you have, by the way, down fucking pat. You have every metric in your head. You have every fucking
Or
year by year in your head.
Oh, yeah.
You're certain of something for sure. This is what happened.
he
This is
still
why it
argues you.
happened. And then they'll argue.
Or
with you.
they're so ignorant that you can't argue with them.
Right.
Because there's just nothing
But
there.
that's why, again, most random people that we tried to start sports arguments with us,
It was good.
Well,
It was really
boys,
good.
okay. There's another sport.
Yeah,
It's called basketball.
it's my first and biggest love.
Yes, basketball. So, since all of us think we're freaking GMs, and we think that we know everything that we know.
We should trade for this guy.
Hey, the other day,
Why didn't we do that?
in the actual basement, we were sitting here saying that we could be better GMs than the Detroit Pistons GMs.
I remember
Think about that. So, I wanted us to do something. I want us to create a trade for some of these great players that I'm going to bring up. Imagine you're a GM of a team, and this player demands a trade, and you need to get an equal trade out of it, as equal as it could be. Someone give you a player, and I want you to put together a trade. Hadi, you have the toughest one, my baby.
I felt like I had the easiest one.
Giannis, breaking news. Giannis demands a trade from the Milwaukee Bucks. What are you doing?
Giannis Antetokounmpo. Before I get started on this, I'd like to say I made it very clear that I think he's the best player in the NBA. And it's not by a big margin, but he's the best player in the NBA to me. And he has a running mate in Damian Lillard, who's one of the clutchest players in the league and one of the best people in the league at stretching the floor. And they have an all-around great defense on as a roster that they have built. If I'm trading away Giannis, if he's not 30, he's right at 30 now. I need Wemby back. I need Wemby. Like, what offer are you going to give me as an NBA GM? I'm trading the best player on the planet, smack dab in the middle of his prime, arguably the best defender in the fucking league, a guy who's going to give me I know he's going to give me 33, 12, and 6 next year. I know if he's healthy, we're going to go very deep. I need the best young player in the league, but I also need to be able to plug him into a situation where I still have Damian Lillard. I can still contend next year. I need Wemby. We're still going to be great defensively. If anything, we'll be able to stretch the floor better now with Wemby.
I think you guys get better.
I know. He tore Wemby on the man. He humbled him real quick. So I need Wemby back, and let me be the truth teller here. I'm not entertaining any other offers. Like, if you come to me with Jokic, I'm gonna need MPJ with him.
Really?
Yeah, fuck yeah. If I'm giving you Giannis,
Wow.
oh, I need Michael Porter
So
Jr.
as a
I
GM
know obviously the money don't work, but I need some shit with him, bro.
Yeah, just to be clear, we're not
Right.
fucking salary cap people. So
Right.
don't go, oh, this guy, the money doesn't work. I'm the salary cap
He wants
guy.
Luka, LeBron, AD, Kyrie. He wants everybody on the Lakers.
But yeah, to make it clear, ignoring salary cap, who else are you gonna bring to my table that's even gonna get me out of bed? It's Giannis Antetokounmpo, bro.
True.
I think you would get fired as a GM that if you had to trade Giannis and you didn't take Joker and you lost out on the trade because you didn't take MPJ.
If that's the only thing that you have to offer me, then yes, I'm gonna take it. But if I put Giannis on the block, that's not the only thing that's gonna be offered to me. Yeah. I'm gonna be offered everything under the.
Yeah, but a lot of teams are not going to offer you that.
I don't know if Boston might trade their duo for Giannis, bro.
No, man.
Man,
no,
you don't know that.
No,
I don't. Man,
bro.
they have to listen. They have to at least discuss it.
No, bro.
Just listen to me for 2 seconds. They have to at least discuss it. They really truly have to at least have the conversation. Like, hey, bro, we have a chance to get, my second best power forward ever, smack dab in the middle of his prime.
Yeah.
And like the best player in the league. Let's just be completely honest with each other. Best player in the league. He's a better scorer than Jokic. He's just as good a rebounder. Slightly worse passer. And defensively, it's the size of the Grand Canyon.
No, Giannis is the best player.
So I need something back in return for that. But I need to be able, again, because of the roster that I have built and the fact that I can still contend next year, you can't give me someone like Ant. Because I need to plug him in, the same thing that Giannis was doing, similarly, and roll the ball out and say, we don't have Giannis, but you know what, man? We're still gonna put asses in seats. We're still gonna contend. We're still gonna have one of the best bigs in the league.
that.
Maybe a top 5 big in the league this year. So
I like that. Breaking news. Luka demands a trade from the Dallas Mavericks. Suede, you're the GM.
Dallas is crying first. Mark Cuban is crying first.
yeah.
Who do you trade for? Look at the market. I mean, looking at these teams, first team I'm going to is OKC. These motherfuckers have, through the next 15 years, have had the first round picks. I mean, that's the only thing I'm looking for. I'm going with trade. Yo, give me Jalen and Chet and like 6 first round picks for Luka, and Dallas will still say no. I mean, if that was like, I mean, that's probably like the worst. Unless you want to go like LeBron for Luka. I mean, well,
Not SGA.
You're not asking for SGA?
Oh, no, I mean, OKC's not gonna say that.
OKC might not do that.
I mean, and
They're dumb for not doing that. But they might not do it.
SGA and Luka though on that OKC team. Wow.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
so you want to team them up together?
Like, team them up together.
Oh,
you know
you
what I'm saying?
outside the box with it.
Let's go to
I see
OKC.
it.
You know what I'm saying?
I like it.
I mean, that's what.
I don't know if Dallas doesn't make that trade. If Luka forces a trade, they might take that trade.
Chet and J Dub and 5 first round
Yeah,
picks.
bro, they might take that trade, bro.
You're getting young
I mean,
players.
these no, Hadi, no. OKC has the next first round picks for the next 10 years.
They remind me of the Brooklyn Nets.
Breaking news.
Boston Celtics, sorry.
Breaking news. Wemby demands a trade from the San Antonio Spurs. I'm getting fired as a GM after this trade. Because, I mean, it's just hard to get equal value for a great young player like that. Guys smack dab early. So I looked and I want to get a little creative. I think you guys are going to be shocked by this. So I'm going to the Orlando Magic, and I'm asking for Paolo, Franz, Isaac, and I need like 3 first-round picks. I'm getting fired 3 years later, but I'm walking away with one of the best young players in the league. I'm getting Franz, who's a really underrated player. I'm getting Isaac, who...
Bad contract.
Bad contract. He's kind of, he's young and he's long. And I'm getting some first-round picks. I'm getting my ass fired.
It's a great trade. I mean, listen, if you're going to give away Wemby, that's the best you're going to do.
And I think Magic would do it also because they're getting Wemby.
Would they?
I don't know if they would.
I don't think they would.
Hey, I'm super, super high on Paolo, bro. I'm
And Franz.
super high
And
on
Franz. Sorry.
Now,
and Franz.
straight up Wemby for
Wemby.
Paolo.
But no, I'm not doing that as a Spur, but I don't know if Magic do that. I'm being honest. I don't know if they do that. I don't know if they take that.
Well, they're
trade.
doing it because I'm the GM and this is fantasy land and they're doing
And
the
that's why
trade.
brother will never be GMs and never had these kind of decisions.
For Luka, it's funny. I put Jokic and MPJ. That's who I would have asked for. If
Really?
I was Denver, yes. Dallas. Because, bro, if I'm looking at it as all these players outside of Wemby, so Giannis and Luka, they already have contending teams right now. So you don't want to give up a great young player where he's still contending for, just a fly on the wall and be like, oh, this guy could turn out to be one day this 1, 2, 3.
Right.
You need a guaranteed guy. For Wemby, I put Embiid and Maxey.
Damn.
Yeah. Justin Embiid is not enough.
You know what's really funny? We bring this subject.
Would you trade Wemby for Embiid? Like if you were the Sixers, if you were the Spurs right now, would you give up Wemby for Embiid?
I would.
No, and I'll tell you why.
What if you get Maxey with him? That's why I put him in there.
Yeah, because then I could say not
We
that
should have put a caveat: no
yeah,
cap space.
Yeah, not that
no
I
cap
think that
restrictions.
Embiid isn't better than Wemby right now. It's because Wemby's like
Is he?
He's like 18
Is
years
he?
old. We'll see. Listen,
I mean, is he? But no, do you know you could for certain this year he's gonna be better?
Man,
Is
relax.
he? But I mean, like, bro, but I know. But I'm saying Wemby last year averaged 21, 10, and 3 blocks. If he comes out in his sophomore campaign, averages 30, 10, and 3, it's not at least a conversation.
I mean, and Embiid was hurt last year, but the year before he was MVP.
He's always hurt.
100%. He's a great. He's the third best big in the league.
Hey, calm down. Relax.
No, you don't know. We're talking just next year.
Now you want to do that. Now you want to do that. Okay,
And
cool.
what's funny about this happens a lot more than you think. How many times do some of the best players in the league demand a trade? It's
we
usually-
just don't hear about it.
But they never get equal return
You
back.
can't get
The
equal
way we
return.
set it up is they actually got kind of equal return back.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons
What do you
why
know, man? We could be
the
genius.
Cavs didn't want to trade LeBron for Kobe.
They should've.
You don't get equal trade back.
They should have. They should have. All right, we're sticking
They
with.
made the right decision.
Oh,
They made the great decision.
You would have been mad with Kobe though. I mean, if you had to trade LeBron, would you have been mad with Kobe's?
No, like that's the only guy in the league that I would even look at.
Right.
Entertaining.
All right, we're gonna stick with basketball. I want us to hit on this real quick. Next year, it's coming up really soon. I wanted all of us to pick one player who we think it's a make it or break it year for them. I'll start off with Hadi. Who is your player?
I was going back and forth with 3 guys, and I'm gonna name them out for you, and I'm gonna tell you who definitively for me. I was going back and forth with Dame, and I was going back and forth with Embiid, and I was going back and forth with D-Book. Okay? And I'm going Embiid. But I'm going to tell you why D-Book crept into the conversation. D-Book is going in his 10th year in the league. Okay? He's played with awesome talent, at least for the last 4 or 5 years. We've put teams around you. We've built structures around you in 2 ways. We've done the route of we're going to put maybe the deepest roster in the league around you, as far as bench, as far as a big, as far as a point guard, as far as a defensive team, as far as coaching. We did that. We got an awesome coach. We put an awesome roster around you. We made it the deepest, and we were deep at every position. Didn't work. So we went the other way, and we got you a super team. And we got you Kevin Durant, and now we have Bradley Beal for you, who hopefully can stay healthy. So now you have 2 chances. You have 2 shots at this. You have the deep roster shot, and you have the super team shot. And if you don't win a championship, you're always going to be remembered like a guy like Vince, Timmy, who was one of my favorite players growing up. But like, he's not in anybody's great conversations. That's who you'll be remembered. Now, if you squeeze one out and win one, now we're talking, if we label James Harden a shooting guard, we're talking between you and him who's the best. If you end up winning one. But you have to do it where you're the man. You can't just go sit there and average 19 and win the championship.
Of course.
Right? With all that being said, he's coming up on 28 years old. He's still young. So, if he doesn't win it this year, that doesn't mean it's done and it's cooked. Embiid's 30. But Embiid is a 45-year-old, 30-year-old. Because
66.
that body, unfortunately, is
some
falling apart. And what he needs to prove to me is he needs to stay healthy. Because New York had no business winning. We loved the Knicks in that run. They were a magical team. They had no business winning that series. They had no business. They had no business winning it. We got you, Paul George. Tyrese Maxey is one of my favorite young players in the league, and it's a guy who could go average 28 next year. We gave you those 2 guys. You have a really good roster in place. Same thing with kind of similar with D-Book. We gave you great players. We put you around great players in your career. Different with him because it's not a performance issue, unless he plays Boston, then it is a performance issue. But it's not a performance issue, it's more health. So if you get injured again this year, I think you're cooked as far as a championship winning big man is concerned. I think you're done, to me. Age, body's falling apart. He's fucking 7'2", 300 pounds, bro. Those bodies don't hold up till 40. So.
Yeah. I mean, he's already fallen apart. So, like
Right.
you said, he only has a couple more chances.
He
at
came
that.
in the league falling apart.
And they went and went and got him Paul George.
100%.
He's always hurt, bro.
How many teams in the NBA could say their third option is Paul fucking George, bro?
Or some nights, my third option is Maxey.
Like, that's nuts, bro.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
actually
No,
crazy, bro.
But when he is on the floor, though, man, that guy is
Embiid is arguably the best player on the planet when he's on the court. The problem is when?
true.
When are you on the
And
court?
sometimes we gotta blame injuries on the player, because sometimes he's coming into the league or into the season out of shape, I mean, that stuff plays a factor. I'm not no fucking doctor. I know I try to act like one, but I mean,
And learn how to fall.
you know what I'm saying?
You know, some guys, some athletes just don't know how to fall. No, I'm being that serious. They don't know how to land.
Or like, you know, when he got injured last year in the playoffs too, like some players are like, know what's worth it.
Yeah.
Know when not to dive into the stands or do something crazy. Again, there's live to play another.
Especially at
you know,
30.
You know what I'm saying? Especially when your knees are made out of glass.
Yeah.
All right. My make it or break it player for this upcoming season is Zion. I know he's young, and I know it's a little bit out of the box. I think it's his make it or break it year as far as being able to view him as a centerpiece for the Pelicans. Tell you why. Everything that we've seen up to this point with Zion Williamson is that he's either really fat or he's injured.
Or injured because he's fat.
Did I say anything wrong so far?
No, unfortunately, no.
Right? So, if I'm the Pelicans, I put a few good players around him. I went and got Murray this year. I need to figure out if this guy can be the guy who could be the number one, or if he's the guy that I need to trade before people realize he's damaged goods. And need to trade before people realize maybe he doesn't love basketball as much as we thought. Maybe we trade this guy before people realize he wasn't the next LeBron James. Because again, when I think of Zion, I don't even think about basketball right now. I think about a guy who can't stay on the floor. And this is actually because it's his fault, because he comes into the league fat. He comes into every season out of shape. So if I'm the Pelicans, I need to see something. And as a fan, I need to see something this year. So that's why I bring up, I know he's young, right? I know he's young, but just in a place of if I'm the Pelicans, I need to figure out if he's the guy or not moving forward. So
I just think of dunks when I think of what I think of. That's it.
I think
No
of
player,
I
just
think
like-
of Big Macs, my boy. That's what I think of.
Fat and just dunks.
How many games did he play last year? Do we know that?
Last year?
Yeah, did he?
I think like two and
was
a
he
half.
hurt?
No, he played. No,
I
he
thought he
played.
put a
he
good
played,
string
and then
of
he
games
got
together.
injured. Boom. Right.
Yeah.
You know, right when they needed him. But it's
Yeah.
not just last year. It's just like
But that's also weight that does it.
you get what I'm
weighs
saying.
down.
And he's
Yeah.
cut down. So I just want to see can he be him?
Yeah.
You're right.
Week by week, we've been doing our all-time players series. First week we did the centers. Last week we did the power forwards. This week we're going to jump into our all-time top 5 small forwards. We'll start off with you, Hadi. Who's your top 5?
Number 5, I have Dr. J. Number 4, I have Scottie Pippen. Number 3, I have Kevin Durant. Number 2, I have Larry Bird. And number 1, I have LeBron James. Number 1, I have LeBron James.
You have LeBron number 1?
See that? Shocker.
Shocker.
Damn, really?
Shocker.
Suede, give me your top 5, baby.
Number 5, I have Scottie Pippen. Number 4, I have Julius Erving. Number 3, I have Durantula. Number 2, I have Larry Legend. And number 1, I have the King, LeBron James.
Nice, man. All right, my top 5 small forwards of all time. I have Dr. J, number 5. I got Scottie Pippen, number 4. I got Kevin Durant, number 3. I have Larry Bird, number 2. And sitting firm at the top, I have LeBron James. Larry Bird, I apologize. I was unfamiliar with your work.
You see a common theme on this
Really?
episode today?
Wow.
Yeah, I was
Wow.
I was unfamiliar with your work, brother. If now KD might be a better player
He's a
than
better
him,
player, yeah.
but I just can't argue.
We just thought sports started in 2016.
I just can't argue.
He went back to the history of the
I
histories and
can't
started watching.
argue
I like it.
MVPs
I love
and
it.
the
I've
championships.
been begging him to do that for
Of
ages
course,
now.
man.
All right, boys. We're going to end the show the way we always end the show. The Basement Boys Game of the Week. You're 0-3.
But you're going to give it first this time because you always make us go first.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
You're 0-3.
I am
So
0-3.
if we did a list of who's a pretender and who's a contender,
I'm a pretender? Really?
you're not even a pretender.
Hey,
I
what
would-
happened in fantasy, though, bro?
Oh,
what happened
wow.
in fantasy, though, my boy?
you a contender.
Yes, I am. Oh, yeah.
You need to get your shit together, bro.
I do.
You're
You know what,
0-3.
man? You know what? Like you said, the second week, give these plays out with our hearts instead of using our brains. And I fell victim of that, which is fine. But I'll bounce back.
You're not too far back from him. You got one dub, and I'm moneyline Keem. And people got to just know that. I'm moneyline Keem.
Okay.
3-0, sitting on top. Burnley.
Man, who you got, man? Stop.
Honestly,
who you got?
man.
Basement Boyz game of the week is the Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes, sir.
I'm going with the Buffalo Bills on the road to win. I think that we are going to see Josh and that run attack really hurt the Ravens, and I still see really clean football from Josh. And I'm down on the Ravens a little bit right now. I need them to prove it to me.
I also have the Buffalo Bills. I've seen a lot from Josh, and this could be the test where I told you guys where he has to play a good team. Not really, really good, but a really good team. I have Josh.
I'm on the Bills bandwagon. I'm going Bills.
Oh, wow, we all picked it.
I'm going Bills.
Hey, I started the show off by saying they're going to the Super Bowl, man.
But what I'm thinking is the Bills are going to squeeze out a dub, and the Ravens are going to want to fucking tear after that. This is what I'm predicting is going to happen.
It's going to be a good game.
I'm so surprised that he didn't pick
I'm
Lamar.
really, really leaning Lamar, but
I really leaned.
there's a lot of question marks on that Baltimore team, man.
I really
There's some question
leaned.
marks.
I really leaned for the Ravens. I really, really did. But I think if they were 0-3 or like 0-4 going to this game, I would have picked the
Yeah, me
Ravens
too.
because of being so desperate. But I think they got their ass whooping out of the way with the Cowboys, and I think the Bills are really good right now. But that's why I'm money line.
So we're all going Bills?
Go put money on the Buffalo Bills, baby. Hey, I can't tell you guys how much I enjoyed this pod, baby. This was a fun freaking time. Before we jump off, though, please make sure you continue to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. We're almost there. We need like 50 more people. Join us on this road. I promise you're not going to regret hitting the subscribe button. You're going to love everything that we do and all the content we're going to bring to you in the future. This was fun, boys.
Yes, sir.
On for another week. I'll see you guys next
That's
week.
reps.
Signing off. Peace.